Good afternoon. This is Bernadette Bennett, and I'm very excited to discuss with you a Social Studies English Language Arts project alignment created for 3rd through 5th grade. We know that every day it's so hard to fit everything in the school day. Suzanne and I had the opportunity to collaborate with Social Studies and Language Arts, working with 3rd through 5th grade teachers, creating primary source resources around reading wonders. We used this project to enhance social studies content as it was connected to the reading series Reading Wonders. We wanted to help students make connections to primary and secondary sources within the selections found in Reading Wonders. These Reading Wonders stories are used as background information as we provide more opportunities to teach social studies within the reading block. What we did was we worked with the groups of 3rd through 5th grade teachers. We became familiar with the social studies standards and used the writing workshop and literature anthology to identify specific areas to be enhanced. Teachers worked with the social studies standards and created lessons aligned to Reading Wonders and social studies curriculum. We worked with multiple primary source repositories, and using the steps of historical literacy, we helped teachers guide close reading of images and documents, provided questions to consider, as well as formative assessments when comparing multiple documents. We've asked the social studies question, how does the social studies standard enhance the reading selections? First, we started with the steps of historical literacy. As we discussed last time, we asked teachers to source, contextualize, close read, and corroborate multiple documents. By sourcing documents, we asked teachers to look at who wrote the document, when they wrote it. When we contextualize, we asked teachers and students to think about what was going on at the time the document was written, both of these being pre-reading strategies. We then had students close read these documents. Close reading included all of the pieces of close reading that we always do, paying special attention to evidence as they were reading. We then asked them to corroborate multiple documents against what was in the selections in Reading Wonders. We asked teachers to identify resources from the Library of Congress, Florida Memory, National Geographic, state, local, and federal repositories, paying special attention to primary sources. Primary source documents are those documents that were written at the time of the event by someone who saw or took part in the event. By focusing on these documents, we have a clear picture of what was going on at the time, while also having the opportunity with our students to examine bias. In Reading Wonders, we asked the teachers to identify the social studies related passages. There are about 6 of them in each grade level, 1 for each unit, focusing on economics, history, geography, as well as civics. We then asked teachers to align primary sources, including images and documents, and using those steps of historical literacy to really analyze those documents. We asked teachers to create formative assessments using depth of knowledge levels and using writing prompts. The template that's used, that was put within each of these documents, is shown here. The first part of this document asks what the title of the reading selection in Reading Wonders is, and we then identify the unit and week. We embed the social studies standard, the title of a primary source document, and a direct link to that document. We explain what sourcing is, that it is a before reading strategy, and provide questions to consider. Each of these questions are answered within the document, as well as on the template, so the teachers have the information there. They also contextualize, looking at what was going on at the time, and again providing background information for teachers who may not know exactly what was going on at the time this story was written or that the document was created. We asked teachers to then close read. Of course, we're going to embed all of the vocabulary and all of the pieces that we've always used with close reading, but we also want to pay close attention to the claims and evidence that is used within the document, as well as how the author uses these claims and his evidence or her evidence to support what they're writing in this document. We then embedded a second document, and again asked students and teachers to source and contextualize this second document. We then had them close read the document and then corroborate, looking at what these multiple pieces of evidence say. So a student who reads the story in Reading Wonders, analyzes the first document, then analyzes the second document, is able to then corroborate the different findings and the different versions of the story. Think about a Civil War journal. The evidence and claims produced by a Northern soldier versus a Southern soldier may be very different. So, this is great, but where can you find this? In English Language Arts, it's in each of the Reading Wonders units. And in Social Studies, it's on the first page of the Instructional Focus Guide by grade level. If you look on this is the Language Arts. This is within the unit, and right here it says Social Studies Extensions. It tells you the lesson plan, Grade 1, Unit 1 Week 1, as well as the multiple scenarios and documents that are listed there. All are PDFs and are all hot linked. In Social Studies, on the first page, since it is aligned by Reading Wonders, there is a folder that says Reading Wonders and Social Studies Aligned Lessons, and all of the lessons are listed here for that grade level. Right now, what we're going to look at quickly is a sample. In grade 3, units 2 and 5, there are stories about women's suffrage. This group decided to take the Declaration of Sentiments and modify the document. The teacher went in, selected 2 small paragraphs out of the document, and rewrote them at appropriate grade levels. By providing a student with both the original and the modified document, it is an appropriate way to modify documents so that these documents are accessible for students of all ages. And so the student could read the modified document. There's a word bank provided, and can go back to the original document to look at how it was written at that time, 1850-ish, I believe, 1848, I'm sorry. We also have aligned the social studies standards for this. The first social studies standard is obviously to analyze primary and secondary sources, but there's also a civics standard attached to identify group and individual actions of citizens that demonstrate civility, cooperation, volunteerism, and other civic virtues. By using the story in Reading Wonders as background information, students are able to read and understand more about women's suffrage and understand the Declaration of Sentiments provided by Elizabeth Cady Stanton. If you have any other questions about this project, please let us know. Next year, Suzanne and I will be conducting staff development around these documents and pieces, and also how to identify other sources that you might decide you want to use with your students. Thank you very much, and have a great summer.